All right, so what we're going to talk about here are multiplying and dividing like bases. Okay, before we get started, let's understand some parts of an expression. The 4 right here is called the coefficient. Okay, a coefficient is just a number in front of a variable. The A is the variable, but we don't call it the variable in this case. In this expression, we call it the base. And then the 3, can y'all tell me what the 3 is? It's the exponent. Good. So when we're talking about different parts of these problems, I need you to understand that the number in front of a variable is called the coefficient. The variable right here would be the base, and then the 3 would be the exponent. So let's look at the expression we have on the screen. We've got x squared times x to the third, right? Now the base of this expression is x, and the base of this expression is what? X. Now this does not equal x to the 6th power. It does not equal x to the 6th power. Okay, now let me tell you the rule. When you have like bases and you're multiplying, you don't multiply the exponents. What do? Say add the exponents. And so this is going to equal x to the 5th power. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's say I have 6 to the 3rd power times 6 to the 15th power. This is not 6 to the 15th power. Okay, now let's talk about it. It is not 6 to the 15th. Do I have like bases? What's the base of this term? 6. And what's the base of this term? 6. Since I have like bases and I'm multiplying, I can do what? Add the exponents. So this is going to be 6 raised to the 5 plus 3 is 8th power. And then you can just type in your calculator 6 to the 8th and it'll give you whatever it is. Right, so in this slide we talked about multiplying like bases. When you multiply like bases, you add the exponents. Okay. All right, so in this expression I have x to the 10th divided by x to the 5th. Now, are my bases like bases? In other words, my base here is x and my base here is x. Okay. Now, what does this not equal? This does not equal x to the 2nd. In other words, you do not do 10 divided by 5 equals 2. When you're dividing like bases, what do you do with the exponents? Subtract, right? If when we're multiplying, we add the exponents, then when we divide, we subtract. So this is going to equal x to the what? 5th power, because 10 minus 5 equals 5. Let's look at another one. Let's say I have y to the 4th divided by y to the 3rd power. Okay, now let's look at what we've got. We got like bases. The base here is y, and the base here is y. So we have like bases, and we're dividing them, right? Okay, so I do not do 4 divided by 3 and say this is y to the 4/3 power, do I? Okay. Since I have like bases and I'm dividing, 4 minus 3 is 1. So it'd be y to the 1st, which we normally just write as y. Good. But now in this slide, we were dividing like bases. And when you divide like bases, you subtract the exponents. Now, this is a little different. Let's say I have x to the 3rd all squared. Now, if you look at this, how many bases do I have? Hello? 1 base. So in this case, I'm not doing a base times another base, am I? Now, what this is called is power to a power. You see how I have this one expression all being what? Say squared. Okay, so if you take one expression and raise it to another power, So now I have a power being raised to another power. Now the rule on this is when you have a power raised to another power, you multiply their exponents. Okay? And so what would this equal? It's x to the what? 6th power. It is not x to the 9th. In other words, you don't do 3 squared, do you? And so it's x to the 6th. And so when you have a power to another power, you do what with the exponents? You multiply them. Notice there's how many bases here? 1. That's different from the other slide where I had 2 bases being multiplied, right? In this case, I have 1 base being raised to a power. In other words, I have a power raised to another what? So let's say I have x to the 4th all cubed. Okay, is this a power to a power? It is, and so that's going to be x to the what power? To the 12th power. Okay? Okay, so let's look at number 23. Now my question is, I'm dividing, but do I have like bases? So we said when we have like bases, which yes, I do have like bases, I do what with their exponents? Subtract. So this is going to be 5 to the 4th power. And so y'all put in your calculator what 5 to the 4th power is for me. So 5 to the 4th power equals 625, and so that's our answer on this problem. Okay? Now let's look at number 25. I've got a base, and I've got the exact same base here, don't I? So I'm multiplying like bases. When you multiply like bases, what do you do with their exponents? Add them. And so this will be negative 9 to the 4th power. And then you'll type that in your calculator. Make sure that you put the negative 9 in parentheses. And so what's negative 9 to the 4th? Huh? Say it loud. 6,500 and what? 61. Okay. All right, let's look at 27. Now, what would 27 be defined as? Say it loud. Power to a power. See, we only have one base, don't we? So it's a power to a power. So in this case, we multiply the exponents. So that'll be p raised to the 24th power. Right. 6 times 4 is 24. All right, look at 29. On 29, I have a base of 6, and I also have a base of 6. When you multiply like bases, what do you do with their exponents? Say add. So this would be 6 raised to the negative 8 plus 5, which is the negative 3 power. So now type 6 raised to the negative 3 power, and it's going to give you 1 over something. Press math enter when you get your decimal. Why? Now it's 1 over 216, but you can see why. When we have a negative exponent, to make it a positive exponent, we put it in the what? In the what? Say bottom of the fraction. And so this is the same as 1 over 6 to the positive 3. By moving it to the bottom of the fraction, it made the exponent positive. And 6 cubed is 216. So 1 over 216 is our answer. All right, let's look at this last one. Now, what are we doing right here? Say dividing. Okay, when you divide, what do you do with the exponents? Subtract. So what's 5 minus 4? Huh? Okay, so I have x to the 5th divided by x to the 4th, which is going to be x to the 1st because 5 minus 4 is 1. And then I'll bring this down times x. Now, what's the exponent when they don't write it? 1. And so now I've got 2 bases that I'm multiplying. When you multiply 2 bases, what do you do with their exponents? Add. So this is going to be x to the what power? To the 2nd power.